What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got for you a pretty terrible and terrifying story, to be honest. One that is potentially going to scare you to your very core and is relatively disturbing. To give a brief overview of what happens here, this woman finds her brother-in-law's Reddit account. Now, before finding this account, she thought the guy was perfectly reasonable. It's her older sister's husband. But finding the account is a truly terrifying and eye-opening experience for her that really changes the course of her immediate short-term future. And she's left thinking that she could be in serious danger. So without further ado, if you do go on to enjoy this, drop a like on this episode and subscribe if you're new to the channel. This is without a doubt one of the most unsettling posts that I've read on Reddit in a long time. Let's get into it. I found my brother-in-law's Reddit account and I'm genuinely terrified for my family. Now, the first post for this one came on September the 12th, 2024. First and foremost, I will not be sharing my brother-in-law's username. I know this will cause most people to call this post fake, but his account has a lot of private information about many members of my family, including what are essentially dox bins and other private info. He does not know I know about this account, and I don't want anyone to go to his account to leave comments or message him. So I am a 21-year-old woman. My sister, Jane, who is 28, has been with John, 27, for 2 years. I found his account totally randomly. I googled his name as he's a journalist, and I found a Reddit account with the same name. Think John Doe is dead 1997. I clicked on it and found tons of Reddit posts ranting about his girlfriend's family, mainly her little sister. At first, I thought I just came across a random, disturbed individual, but clicking on the post revealed more. Both my sister and I have unique names. Not super rare, but uncommon enough that they're noticeable in a list of names, and neither of us have met anyone with the same names as us. Plus, our surnames aren't super basic either. Think Aurora Fernsby. That's fake, but a similar name to myself. He also mentions enough personal details for it to be undeniably him. I would not be writing this unless I was 99% sure. The posts are all either posted to vents or rant subs, or straight to his Reddit page. They all have 0 to 3 upvotes and a few comments spread across from what I can tell to be 100 posts. They're all mostly complaining about Jane, me, or our mother. The most concerning post is about me though. I have a varied past with men, mainly influenced by SA. I'm in therapy, but it's made me more weary around men I do and don't know. This apparently enrages John. In this post, he details out how he plans to offer to drive me home next time I visit them, but instead of taking me home, he'll detour and take the scenic route through the country lanes in our town. He says he wants to make me afraid enough that I'll do something to her, but after 15 or so minutes, he'll turn around and drive me home, therefore showing me that, quote, not all men are creeps and want to hurt her. His logic seems to be that since he acted weird but didn't hurt me, it should click in her brain that not all men are bad. The post is very long, like scrolling down for 15 seconds long, but he rants about how it's unfair that I flinch around him when he makes big gestures or yells at the TV because he'd never do anything. He says he can fix me more than my therapist. A lot of the post is weird incel-y talking points. I was just bawling reading the whole thing. There's one comment telling him to get help, but John just responds, I don't need help, she does. His comment history is also concerning. A lot of weird incel talking points, which doesn't make sense as he has a girlfriend. I'm not super versed in incel ideology. A lot of stuff about SA, women's roles in relationships and society, other races, ethnicities, religions, and more. I'm terrified of John. We weren't close before, but we didn't hate each other. To me, he was just a grown man with vastly different interests, and we'd never meshed cleanly. But now, I don't know what to think. My mind is frazzled. I'm going to tell my sister, but I don't know how. I have screenshots of everything, links, etc. I just don't know how to lay it all out. Also, I need coping mechanisms. I'm in a constant state of pre-panic attack. I can feel it in my chest, but it's not tipping over into a full panic attack, which is making me genuinely crazy. Sorry for the long post, and thanks in advance. Okay, so before I give my thoughts on this, and OP has also added an additional edit at the end after reading some of the people's advice on Reddit, let's get to the comments and see what Redditors have been saying, what they think about this, because goodness me, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. But yeah, let's jump straight into the comments. Here's the first comment on this post. Somebody said, oh, I did not want to be the first comment here. This is so much to unpack. Yeah, exactly. Do you think your sister will believe you? Talk to your parents and family first. They should hear about your fear before they hear from your sister that you're talking rubbish. Is your sister safe? I have no clue what else to say other than I'm going to come back in case anyone has coping mechanisms for your pre-panic attack thing. I'm experiencing the same thing, and it's also driving me insane. Pre-panic attack is a good way to describe it. I've been struggling with it for years, but there's no medical term for it, so thanks for giving it a name. OP replied to this, and in particular the "is your sister safe" question, saying, "This is why I want to tell her as soon as possible, because I don't know. Not anymore, anyway. They seem happy together, but now I'm rethinking everything. Thanks for your advice." Somebody else said, "Why is he so obsessed with you? He has a girlfriend and prefers to vent about you. Are you that close to him? He's not in a normal place mentally. Show the text to your sister and mother. He could be abusive to your sister." OP replied, "We're not close. I live closer to my sister than any of our family, so I do see her and him fairly often, but I never go and see him. He's usually just there, which is fair because it's his home too. But I never go with the reason of hanging out with John, just my sister. We're not close. We don't have much in common, but we just get along well enough. I had no interest in being his friend or anything before for many obvious reasons, but especially now. I have no idea why he's so obsessed with me. It's freaking me out." Somebody else asked, "How does he know so much about your trauma? Who told him? That's a very important question to solve beforehand." OP replied, "Last year, when I was SA'd by my now ex, I ended up calling John to pick me up because my ex lived in a different city and was supposed to give me a ride back. I had a breakdown in his car and I told him what happened. I hadn't intended to tell anybody about what happened, but I couldn't keep it in. Also, my sister and I both witnessed abuse from our father, which I'm sure she told John about, and he correctly assumed that I was also affected." The commenter then asked, "Does this mean your parents aren't safe advocates in this situation?" "No, not at all," OP said. "I'm actually planning on telling my mum too. The no telling anyone about the SA comment was more of a spur of the moment, traumatized and mortified 19-year-old. OP also finally responded to a troll, saying, "I don't think that all men are evil. John literally just projected that onto me. He wrote that assumption in a post where he detailed, graphically, how he wanted to make me fear for my safety to, quote, fix me because he's upset that I have trauma and CPTSD. And I'm somehow as creepy as he is and terrifying." That's what the comment said. I'd love a deep dive into how you came to that conclusion, because reading some Reddit posts don't feel the same as what John is doing and planning to. Okay, now let's get to the edit that I said that OP left at the bottom of the first post. She said, "As of 2 hours ago, I made my mum and uncle aware of what I found. Every screenshot, screen recording, and link. My sister is currently on a work trip, so we're waiting for her to come back in 2 days. His account is still up as of 20 minutes ago. Thanks for all your advice. Mum, uncle, and I are figuring out the best way to tell my sister." Okay, so there we go. That is it for the original post, and a little edit on the end of that as well. Now, there is one update to come that was posted on November the 13th, 2024, so 2 months later, not too long ago at the time of recording, actually. But I've got to say, just off the bat, it's just crazy. Like, you don't know what someone is truly, truly like until you know what they're truly like. Like, I don't know. It's hard to know, like, the sort of the demons that people might have in their head. How do you ever know what someone is truly thinking? I guess you can't, but to have, you know, your older sister's husband be this disturbed under the facade of him just being, you know, someone that you don't really like that much, but you get along with him fine. He's your sister's husband, right? I mean, like, you don't have to love him, but, you know, she clearly loves him, and it seems as if the relationship's been good or whatever, and yeah, everything's fine. And then you see this. You said 100 posts, like 100 posts about you and your sister and your mum. It's just insane. Like, how can someone, I guess my question is, how can someone hide what they're really like this? It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, my obvious thing to say is you have to tell someone as quickly as possible. Thankfully, you have now told your mum and your uncle, and you're figuring out what to do. But yeah, there's no way that your family, your entire family, cannot hear about this, especially your sister and your sister's husband as well. I mean, everyone's got to know about this, because this is bordering on illegal, what the things he's saying here, to be honest. Like, just absolutely insane. So, without further ado, let's get into the update and see how this story resolves. As I mentioned in my last post, I had made my mum and uncle aware of the situation. We all agreed that waiting for Jane to come home from a work trip to tell her was the best course of action. When she got back, we sat her down to explain everything. I showed her the screenshots, the posts, and I walked her through everything that John had said. She was quiet at first, just reading through the messages with this shocked look on her face. She started accusing me of overreacting or somehow getting the situation wrong. She said that maybe John was just venting and didn't actually mean any of it. She also suggested that I might be reading too much into his posts because of my past trauma. My mum and uncle tried to step in and back me up, but Jane wasn't having it. She kept saying that we were blowing things out of proportion and that we didn't understand John like she does. At this point, she was getting really upset and we were all talking over each other. Now, I've got to interject here and say that I actually don't really blame Jane for this reaction at all. It makes a lot of sense to me. In the moment, to react how she's reacted when she's just obviously in utter disbelief, she's probably in a state of denial thinking, no, this can't be right. There must be something going on here. This cannot be happening. This is my husband saying these things about me and my family. Surely not. Like, no, this can't be right. Something's off. And that's why she's saying these things. But I suppose with the passing of time, she'll probably understand just how serious this is. Anyway, let's continue. Then Jane said I've always been distant from John and that maybe he felt uncomfortable around me because of how I act. At that point, I was done. I made it clear that if she decided to stay with him, I would have to limit my contact with the both of them. My mum and uncle backed me up on this, and we all said that we couldn't trust John to be part of our lives anymore after seeing what he wrote. Jane stormed out of the house after that. She's barely spoken to me since, except for a couple of cold texts saying she needs to process the situation. On Monday, it's Wednesday today, Jane showed up at my door, completely unannounced. She looked like she hadn't slept, and the first thing she did was apologize. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I was shocked because I wasn't expecting her to come around so quickly. She told me that after she left, she couldn't stop thinking about the post, and she started going back over everything in her head. She said that she told John about the situation, and when I went to check, all his stuff has been deleted. This annoyed me and my mum, who was on the phone, as we told Jane to keep quiet for safety reasons. Luckily, I got all the evidence saved. She said that John had blocked me on everything to preserve his career and that he was super annoyed with me for stalking him. He even told my sister that the account wasn't him, rather someone at work who hates him. I obviously don't know everything that happened between them, but it's caused a massive rift. I've moved in with my uncle for the time being, as I was afraid of John showing up on these first few nights. We looked into legal options about the post, but found nothing that would help us. My uncle said he's going to help me get in contact with his work, but I'm scared of John's reaction if I do that. As of current, my sister isn't totally settled on leaving John, so I've gone low contact with her. She said her reasons for staying with John is because she just can't see John acting like this. Luckily, I have friends and family who are on my side. Sorry, this update is kind of bleak. So there we go. That is all we have at the time of recording. Not really too much of a conclusion there, but to be honest, as I kind of said, this is exactly what I thought would happen. And unlike yesterday's episode, if you listen to the end, the last story there, where, in my opinion, that last story was quite clearly fake, this is quite clearly real in the sense that, you know, Jane doesn't suddenly go, oh my God, and just leaves John and lives happily ever after and kicks him out and he gets arrested and goes to prison for life, etc., etc. This is how I would expect somebody to react in this situation. As I said, just be in utter disbelief. Eventually, hopefully, she'll come around to the fact that what she is seeing, hearing, whatever, is completely real and is absolutely shocking and is obviously worth breaking up with somebody, divorcing somebody over. But yeah, I mean, there are so many reasons to why this is so obviously real in terms of now getting into the story and that it is clearly John's account. I mean, the posts magically got deleted by one of his colleagues. How would they know to delete those posts? Because they weren't told that John now knows. I mean, as in John has obviously deleted the account and the post himself. None of this makes any sense, to be honest. Like the fact that John has said, oh, it's not me, and the posts have gone. But then again, like if we just now know and take John as what we now know he is, which is just, yeah, some weird, ratty, little lying, crazy incel, kind of makes the whole situation pretty clear, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, it's just, yeah, crazy guy. I don't know how people like this exist, but I'm delighted that this at least has come to light, and now you can all start to move forward and process things at whatever pace you want to do it, but at least now everybody knows. So there we go. Crazy story. What do you guys think in the comments down below? Like, again, I go back to my original point that I made after the first story, after the first post. It's just crazy to me that you can marry somebody and like think you know everything about them, but in reality you can never know everything about somebody. It's impossible to go to this extent though, where you don't know how they really feel, and they feel like this, and they're doing all this stuff online, and they're clearly just a deranged individual. That is something that I would never wish upon anyone. Yeah, shocking story. I want to hear your thoughts. As always, get in the comments down below and tell me what you think.